Every monarch has an army, and every army has strategists. In Chapo's kingdom of cocaine and violence, there were 4 commanders whose bloodthirsty and violent acts laid the foundations of the Sinaloa cartel. However, with El Chapo behind bars, the question arises: what happened to these men? Did they share a similar fate to their leader, or do they still operate underground? Let's find out. Manuel Aponte. Alejandro Gomez Diaz, also known as El Bravo, was a disciplined and high-ranking member of the Sinaloa cartel. Aponte's story is worthy of the big screen. Unlike other El Chapo hitmen, Aponte did not begin life as an outcast from society. He was born on December 19, 1974, in Chilpancingo, Guerrero, Mexico. He chose to be part of the Mexican Armed Forces. Although it may seem surprising, from 2000 to 2006, Aponte served in the Mexican army before becoming a hitman and drug trafficker. El Chapo's lieutenant. The treacherous crossing of paths occurred when Aponte was sent on a mission by the Mexican military to locate El Chapo. Confronted by the leader of the Sinaloa cartel, El Chapo bribed him to join his cause. Over time, El Chapo trusted Aponte so much that he appointed him to spy on other members of the cartel and uncover traitors. El Chapo appointed him head of security, and Aponte was essential in helping El Chapo evade arrest, building tunnels in northern Mexico. It was Aponte who kept El Chapo one step ahead of the Mexican army. In 2012, Aponte was part of the team that kidnapped Rodrigo Viñas, an operations coordinator for the Mexican Navy. Viñas tried to set a trap for El Chapo, but Aponte, being cunning, requested reinforcements to create a distraction and escape military control. When El Chapo was captured for the second time in February 2014, despite his dominance over the Sinaloa cartel, Aponte's mutilated remains were found in April 2014 in Cruz de Elota. Aponte had been tortured and shot several times, although his murder was never solved. Everything points to members of the cartel whom Aponte had spied on some occasion. Jose Antonio Torres, although not well known publicly, is remembered in the world of drug trafficking as the ruthless Marufo, also known as El Jaguar. Marufo was El Chapo's main hitman and his main executioner. He oversaw the transportation of drugs from Juarez, Mexico to the United States, an especially dangerous job due to territorial rivalry with the cartel in Juarez. Most of Marufo's background is shrouded in mystery, but official records indicate that he was always involved in the drug world before joining the cartel. It operated in the Villa Ahumada area, in the north of Chihuahua, a state in Mexico. Torres was also a drug trafficker from Juarez, who paid a fee to the Juarez cartel through a state police officer. No one can say for sure how or when El Chapo met and hired Marufo. We only know that sometime in the mid-2000s, El Chapo decided to reclaim the Juarez cartel's smuggling routes and trusted Marufo to spearhead the process. In 2006, Marufo was rumored to be in charge of a huge group of elite gunmen known as Gente Nueva. Under his direction and the name of the Sinaloa cartel, they managed to decimate the Juarez cartel and its armed wing, La Línea. Marufo was diabolically ruthless from 2008 to 2012. Every day, people died under his gaze. Records claim that at least 1,600 people were executed by Gente Nueva during this period, and under his command, one of the most audacious hits came when he conspired against members of the Juarez cartel. Marufo ordered the kidnapping and murder of a groom on his wedding day, who was a relative of members of the Juarez cartel, and unfortunately for Marufo, also a U.S. citizen. This placed him on the list of the most wanted fugitives of the El Paso division of the United States Drug Enforcement Administration. Some maintain that this event marked the beginning of the end for the Jaguar. However, it was another murder in 2009 that would bring a reward on his head. On September 3rd of that year, masked men, under direct orders from Marufo, broke into the military educational center of Ciudad Juarez. They gathered 20 people against a wall and shot them all. 18 died, and the remaining 2 were seriously injured. Finally, Marufo was pursued, captured, and extradited to the United States, where he is serving a 40-year sentence in a facility in Arizona. Mario was once the head of the hit squad of Chapo's Sinaloa cartel, also known as the Harvester, due to his reputation as a ruthless killer. Although he was involved in many other crimes, it was his ability to kill thousands of people in cold blood that earned him admiration in the cartel. He joined the Sinaloa cartel in 2008 and received orders directly from Chapo. In just 4 years, 2008 to 2012, Mario was directly responsible for the deaths of at least 4,000 people. All of these murders occurred within Ciudad Juarez, and many argue that Mario's endless violence was one of the factors that contributed to the Sinaloa cartel's victory in its war against the Juarez cartel. However, one of the biggest mistakes he made in his violent career occurred in 2010, when together with Marufo and other hitmen, he led to a revenge kidnapping of a U.S. citizen and his family. On May 10, 2010, the victims were discovered dead in Ciudad Juarez. Mario would end up being arrested in 2012 and found guilty of numerous charges, including money laundering, drug trafficking, murder, conspiracies, and possession of firearms, among others, possibly due to his violent nature. Mario did not have friends to support him until death. During his trial, it was his own soldiers and colleagues who testified against him. Some of them had even participated in assassinations and kidnappings, but their main concern was to overthrow the leader rather than incriminate themselves. Finally, on March 3, 2022, a U.S. court sentenced him to life in prison and fined him $100,000 for his participation in the cartel's operations. Mario, also known as El Cholo, occupied the position of Chapo's right-hand man. He was his trusted lieutenant and one of the most lethal assassins in Mexican drug trafficking. His nickname was due to his role as the leading enforcer of the Sinaloa cartel, heading the hit squad and being directly responsible for the activities and management of the cartel's surpluses. However, it seems that the Cholo may have been too excessive on certain occasions. In one situation, he beat some police officers so brutally that El Chapo had to reprimand him. The Cholo was also rumored to be responsible for at least 80% of the cartel's murders, most of which he carried out personally. In 2005, the government came close to ending the Cholo's reign of terror by arresting him and charging him with possession. But after a poor investigation, Cholo was released 3 years later. An armed confrontation with soldiers again led to his arrest and imprisonment, but he managed to escape only a year later, on August 9, 2008. This escape triggered an extensive manhunt and near captures in 2010, 2014, and 2015. In 2013, while the army was pursuing a convoy of armed men in which Cholo was supposed to be, they shot and killed his partner, Susan Flores. Barely 22 years old, she had fallen in love with the violent hitman while studying at the University of Culiacan. His death deeply affected Cholo, and just a month after the tragic incident, the residents of his hometown found 77 banners hanging in his town. They claimed that the soldiers killed her because they came to kill me and they couldn't. The girl had never carried weapons, much less fired them. Sincerely, Cholo Ivan was finally captured on January 8, 2016, along with El Chapo in an assault on the drug trafficker's safe house in the city of Los Mochis, on the Pacific coast of Sinaloa. Although Cholo and El Chapo managed to escape through a tunnel, they were detained at a checkpoint. While El Chapo has been extradited and sentenced to life in prison in a maximum security prison, El Cholo has tried unsuccessfully to appeal his extradition. When he faces court in the United States, he will likely suffer the same fate as his boss, a life behind bars for all the violent crimes throughout his life. That's all for today. I hope you liked the video. Subscribe if you are truly passionate about narco stories. See you next time.